This is Cruise Radio.
I cruise a lot, and I always sail with travel insurance. You should too. Get a free quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Doug Parker. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Cruise Radio. Very happy to have you here, my friend. A review of Carnival Horizon this week at 8 nights sailing down to the ABC Islands from Matthew. He's checking in with us in just a bit. Staff writer Richard Sims cruising around Alaska this week. We couldn't connect because he was over in Glacier Bay as I record this. You know, a couple of months ago, I got an email from some friends who said, you've got to check this website out. So I got off the ship, and it was thecruiseglobe.com. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool because it basically tracks your cruise on your voyage, the exact path your ship took. After I was playing with it on the flight home, I thought, okay, I got to learn more about this. So I checked out, did some research, and it turns out that the cruise YouTuber Emma Latisse from Emma Cruises, she's one of the co-creators along with Matthew Jones, and they're both here on the line to talk about this app and answer some questions I had. So Emma, Matthew, welcome.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here because this is a really cool platform, thecruiseglobe.com. So we're going to get to all of this in a few minutes, but I want to hear the origin story. What made you want to create this?
I think it was kind of naturally an extension of the business that we set up a couple of years before. So the cruisemaps.com that some people may have heard of is creating print keepsake maps of your exact cruise route based on AIS satellite tracking data. And we just kind of, from speaking to thousands of customers there, realized that there was this sense that cruise had kind of been left behind from a digital platform perspective, but there's nothing out there that allows you to track your cruises all in one place and see the actual routes on a map. They're tracking apps, of course, but it's just a list of the cruises you're on rather than actually seeing how they intersect and where you've been, all the stats about nautical miles traveled, countries visited, kind of the depth that, let's face it, a lot of cruise fans really want, right? They're all quite keen on data and want to see all that in one place.
I want to go back to what you said about the exact path it maps out. So if your cruise ship did a diversion, say to Miami or something along the way, it'll show the kind of going into Miami, then leaving again?
Exactly. So it's all based on AIS satellite tracking data. That's on every ship, every cruise ship in the world. It's every ship over a certain size. And it basically picks up where the ship is every couple of minutes, right? So if you have a medical evacuation or you're diverted, it's all going to show. And I think that's the thing that people who have got on board with the Cruise Globe have realized is that actually, when you're on board, you don't really see where the ship's truly going. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole lot more behind the scenes, and it's really intriguing to find it out.
I also like how you started the cruise maps, and then you led to the cruise globes. The whole necessity is the mother of invention. How easy is it to backfill all of your cruises?
So it's very easy if you can remember the dates. That's the key thing. But you just need to know what ship you were on, where you went from and to, and the dates of the cruise. And then we work out everything that happened in the middle. It goes back to 2015. We are working on a solution to cruises before 2015, but that's when the ships really started tracking this data. It just doesn't exist before then.
Okay, and what exact insights can you get from thecruiseglobe.com?
So at the moment, you're going to be able to see the nautical miles traveled on each cruise. You're going to see how many times you've been on different lines, different ships, been to different ports, how many countries you visited, all these kind of things. But that's really just a start, right? There's kind of no end to what we can start to do with weather data and wave heights and things like that. It's all in the roadworks for the future.
It goes without saying that us cruisers really love to share cruise information, whether it's a review, tips, tricks, excursions, what have you. I'm curious if you can share this. Like my Flighty app has the miles flown and the aircraft and everything. If I wanted to post it after my flight, can you do this with thecruiseglobe.com?
Yeah, so at the minute we have a couple of ways that you'll probably see people sharing the Cruise Globe. You'll either see, we have a thing called the Cruise Passport, which is your entire cruise history on one thing that you can download, share on Facebook, share on Twitter. It's everything. It says how many countries you've been to. It has your top cruise lines on it, which I think is very interesting. But that is everything together. We also have something you can download for each cruise, which is called a cruise card, kind of, with the itinerary on it. And at the moment, that's what you would do. You would download and share. I think there's a lot more that we want to do so that people can sort of follow along with the cruises when they're happening. But that's how it is at the moment. And if you're scrolling, I see quite often on Facebook, someone will come back from a cruise, update and share where they've been, especially if it is a bit of a quirky itinerary. I have some interesting cruises where we've gone around in circles a few times. And I always find those, especially in things like Facebook groups, people will share and say, look where we really went. I had no idea.
Yeah. And to be clear, this is a website, so desktop, mobile, tablet. It's not an app, correct?
Yes. Okay. It's going to be. We've literally just kicked off building the app. We wanted to see what the demand was like first, and we've actually just ticked over 25,000 users on the platform in a couple of months. So I think it's safe to say people are going to like this. So we're now investing in creating an app, but it still works on your mobile and your tablet. You just have to go to the mobile browser at the moment and type in thecruiseglobe.com.
From a privacy standpoint, some of us don't like to post every cruise we do. Some of us love to do it. So I'm curious if you are able to kind of, is everyone able to see my cruises? Can I see all of your cruises? Like, how is the security and privacy set up?
Totally. That's a really, really important point. We wanted to build privacy as the default, right? So by default, it is a entirely private, single user experience, right? It doesn't share anything to anyone without you actively asking it to do so, right? Or actively doing it yourself. So no, you can just enjoy it on your own and not share anything if you want to. And that's how a lot of people use it.
Outside of big cruise ships, so I'm talking, let's say, ferries, river cruises, are those loaded in there too? So
expedition cruises, yes. That's a huge aspect of what we're doing. Obviously, a lot of people want to see the finer details of those. Ferries and river cruises, not yet, but they will be. I think it's just a case of bit by bit.
This may be an obvious question, but not everyone likes to, geek out and track like at least I do. Why should someone check this out?
I think from my perspective, be so sorry. Anna.
All right, go ahead.
On this one, but I think from my perspective, it's interesting to see exactly where the ship went. And you'd be surprised sometimes how different that is from what was advertised to you in the itinerary and what you kind of felt happened while you're on board. Seeing how all your cruises intersect is also really, really neat from a whole world perspective. We've had a lot of feedback so far that people who've been on, say, 20 cruises in their lifetime are now seeing that, okay, I've never been over to this part of the world, and it's kind of visually really clear now, and I really want to explore that. So from that side, it's really interesting, and just it's a perfect way to share, right? I think so many people go on cruises to then talk about them afterwards and share them with their friends, share them with their family, and actually to do that visually and to have a higher sort of context to what you're saying to those friends and family it makes it a way nicer experience.
I would agree with all of that. Absolutely love sharing my cruises. I think for me, up until now, I've been trying to rely on my memory, and I've always had a very rough list of cruises, but that's not fantastic. Whereas now, if I meet a friend who is, for example, taking a Norwegian fjord cruise, I can sit with them and say, well, look at the one I did. We're going to similar ports, and you can sit together and talk about what you did in that port. The memories come back that you just wouldn't remember. And it's just so much fun. I think I've spent, I don't know how many hours just watching this, but it's really just satisfying. So yeah, give it a go. You'll be surprised because people say, well, I took a cruise that went from Southampton to Bruges. That's a straight line. It absolutely is not. You'll find you went in the complete opposite direction and looped round in a circle 4 times before you got to your port.
Really important thing, just to jump in here, we haven't said yet, is this is all entirely free as well. It says there is no cost to signing up. There is no cost to putting all your cruises in here, seeing all the stats, seeing all the routes. So there's kind of nothing to lose.
Personally, I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks now since someone sent it to me like maybe 2 months ago. And I absolutely love tracking all of this. I mean, hell, I pay $79.99 a year for my Flighty app, and this is free, right? So I would pay for this. I'm glad I don't have to. But I also like the fact that if you do want to print out your itinerary, your route, and put it on a coffee table or what have you, you have the option to do that too.
And it's really important to say that's why we make it free, right? It's because we know and hope that a portion of the people who use the Cruise Globe like it enough that they want to buy a print map and put it on on their wall, on their coffee table, right? And that's where we make our money, and that's how we support the cruise globe being free. And from our perspective, we just, at least for the meantime, I can't promise it'll be the same forever, but for the meantime, we just want to share this with as many people as possible and realize that by making it free, it's just more accessible.
Okay, so you're in the early stages of launching an app, which I'm super stoked about. But what else is on the horizon for the cruiseglobe.com?
Oh, we get a lot of requests, and we're kind of just basing everything we build entirely on how many people want it. So the app, we have heard literally, I think, more than daily, hourly since we launched. So that's very much on our agenda. But also the big things coming up are adding the ability to see cruises live. So not just your history of cruising, but see where ships are right now. So obviously that exists, but having that all in one place is interesting. And then adding your future cruises so you can see which ones you've got booked and coming up. And then the big one that we're really, really excited about is also making pre-2015 cruises available as well. And we've got a way, even though the satellite data doesn't exist, we've got a way, as Emma said, to show a likely route based on all the other data we have.
I love it. Emma Latisse and Matthew Jones, co-founders of the cruiseglobe.com. Any parting words before we hop here?
I would just like to say to people, if you do have any ideas or any comments or just anything you want to tell us, please tell us, because we're reading every single email. We want to know. Everything we do is based on feedback. So if anyone has any thoughts at all, nothing is too small, just email hello@thecruisemaps.com.
And I would just add to that we have enormous plans for this platform. This is just the start, and we're going to make this something which we hope is the first port of call for cruising.
Once again, that is thecruiseglobe.com. You can track your cruises there. Matt, Emma, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The world is constantly changing. Your place for news is still the same. Online and on demand at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
Have a tip or a lead on a news story? Let us know. Email tips@cruiseradio.net.
Last month, Williams sailed an 8-night cruise on Carnival Horizon. It went to the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, and he's here to share it with us. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Doug.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you're out in Wyoming, so before we get to the ship itself, we'll get a couple of pre-cruise thoughts from you here. What made you want to take this 8-nighter to the ABC Islands?
Never been to Curacao before, so I've already been to Aruba and Bonaire about 2 years ago. I've been wanting to take a trip for a while and get a vacation. It's been, especially when work's been really busy.
I hear you. You made your way from Wyoming down to Florida to board Horizon. Did you do any pre-cruise time before the cruise?
So I flew down that Friday morning and landed in Miami around 2:11 in the afternoon. So I spent roughly the rest of the afternoon in Miami. But other than that, I really didn't do much.
It comes time to board Carnival Horizon there at Port Miami. How was the embarkation process, and how long did it take you from the curb to the ship?
I was supposed to board around 11:30. But Miami was having a big old concert festival going that weekend, so I ended up going to the port early to beat the traffic. So I ended up getting there around 10:30, 10:45. Sitting around, the wait to board was like 30 to 45 minutes.
When you get to the terminal, do they let you go right inside? I mean, it sounds like you were sitting in there, or do they make you wait until your time was called?
You can go in and go through security and check in and everything, and then you're just sitting inside for a while.
I see in the notes here, this was your first time sailing Carnival Horizon. So what did you think once you got on board?
Overall, I actually really liked the ship. Very pretty when you walked in and seeing that big old glass TV display in the center. Although I'm not quite used to that. I'm quite used to the older ships with the elevators in the atrium.
Right.
Other than that, it was actually very, very pretty. I ended up having to take the stairs for the first 2 or 3 days because people didn't know how to use the elevators.
Oh, geez.
The smart elevators.
Just got off of a ship that had those as well, and people bum rush the elevator when it opens, but they realize once it's going, there's not an actual keypad inside of the elevator, so then they're going to some floor they didn't want to go to. So yeah, I understand the confusion there with some people in the smart elevator. So you make your way to your stateroom. What kind of stateroom did you have for this 8-night cruise, and what did you think of it?
Interior, the room was 8237 towards the front. The room was actually pretty spacious. I mean, you probably could fit another person perfectly fine with no issues. Plenty of storage. The outlets were fine, but the problem is now that I use a CPAP machine, so I have to bring an extension cord, plug my extension, plug my CPAP in, illuminates, one outlet, and then charging my phone and other stuff is using another outlet. So if I remember correctly, there's 2 USB ports, I think, if I remember correctly, which I never really used.
I'm curious because I remember I did the transatlantic crossing on that ship when it launched, and I was a couple of doors down from you. I was in 8249, which is, I think, maybe like 3 or 4 doors aft of where you were. And I know in my room, I heard the IMAX theater like rumbling and everything like crazy. Did you hear any of that during your sailing?
Actually, no. I didn't hear a single thing.
Oh, good.
I mean, the only thing that I really heard was kids running up and down the hall. Other than that, I didn't really hear my neighbors or below me or above me, which was nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's talk about the food on Carnival Horizon. We'll start at the top at the Windjammer Marketplace there. How was the buffet, and did it ever feel like it was too crowded for you? It
got a little bit crowded towards 9, 10 o'clock, around the time when people start waking up.
Yeah.
But early in the mornings, not so much. Like around 7, 8 o'clock, it was pretty smooth. There were lines for the omelet station, like always. Like we should be going.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be a line for the omelet stations, but that's normal. But for Guy's Burger, there was always a line in front of those doors. But after that, you're able to find seating anywhere if you wanted.
Now, as far as the main dining room, this was a solo cruise for you. So what time dining did you have, and how was it throughout the 8 nights?
So I did your time dining,
mm-hmm.
and I ended up getting sat with 2 other people, which was really nice. Just kind of awkward sitting by yourself in the dining room.
Oh, yeah.
The dining room was actually really good. We had no issues. We were out 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
It was really quick. It didn't take long for them to bring out our food, and every night they recognized they remember our names, and we always ordered a specific drink, so the drinks would be always ready on our table. We didn't have to tell them, hey, I want a margarita or old fashioned or something. They just had it on the table ready for us.
I'm curious, when you were sitting in the main dining room there with that couple, it can always be hit or miss when you're sitting with people you don't know, right? And did you feel like welcomed sitting with them, or did you feel like, okay, am I imposing on this couple?
It was actually great because they were actually in the same Facebook group that I was in.
Okay.
For the sailing. So I ended up getting to hang out with them for the rest of the cruise.
Oh, that's great.
And they actually ended up doing the same excursion in Aruba. Yeah, it actually worked out perfect.
How was the pizza on this cruise?
Really good, but very long lines.
Always. Any other restaurants aside from the main dining room buffet pizza, like any specialty on there?
I did actually do the Cucina del Capitano on the first day for lunch, which was free.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good. I think I was in and out by 20 minutes.
Doing Cucina del Capitano for lunchtime, is it the same as it was a few years back where you go up there and they give you a piece of paper and a pencil, you fill out what you want, you hand it to them, and they bring it to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you get to choose your noodles, your sauce, and, if you want chicken or shrimp, mushrooms,
mm-hmm.
Stuff like that in it. So, and then if you want a piece of bread or a cheesecake or something.
How was the entertainment on this 8-night cruise?
Very, very good. I went to the comedy shows a lot. The cruise director, Tyler, said there was like at least 21 comedy shows the whole entire week.
Wow.
And I went to every single one of them. So I was very busy with the comedy shows. Then we watched Family Feud. That was really cool. There's a family. I think I remember who won. They didn't get exactly the 500. I think they got like 200 or 300. That was really cool seeing Family Feud on the ship. I forgot the name of the other show off the top of my head, but I went to another show and it was really good. I think they've improved on their shows very well.
Was it like the Love and Marriage show, maybe?
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
That was funny. That was really fun. That was funny.
So outside of the comedy club and the main show theater, any, music catch your ear, maybe in the atrium there or around the ship?
They had a band playing in the atrium, and they were very, very good. And they kept changing bands, every night. And so you got to hear a different type of music, and they were every night. It was very good.
How about the smoke situation in or around the casino? And does that one still have a casino bar?
Nope. They took it out and replaced it with slot machines. I'm telling you, they made a lot of money that whole entire week.
Was it pretty smoky in there?
Very. When you walked through this casino, it was very smoky. But once you basically got out of it, going into the atrium or going to the Limelight Lounge, you really didn't smell it anymore. So whatever they're doing to prevent it from escaping out into the outer rooms out of the casino, they're doing a pretty good job on it.
How are the sea days as far as crowds and congestion?
This is one thing I like about these size ships, is because I feel like these size ships can disperse the crowds very well, because it didn't really seem we had a whole lot of people. Now, I did go ask guest services how many guests we had on board, and she said that they had 4,446 guests on board, and that's without crew. It didn't feel like we were at capacity at all. We had no issues of getting to lines, food. The whole trip, basically, the sky ride was shut down, and the zip line was shut down through the whole entire trip until the last sea day. Mm-hmm. The last sea day, we actually finally calmed down and had calmer seas, but the whole entire trip, we had high winds and about 10 to 15 feet of waves.
Wow.
If you were drunk, you'd probably be able to walk straight the whole entire time.
True. Well, as far as so you had kind of like rough weather, and that ship doesn't have like a dome over the pool or anything like that. So during sea days, were people still outside though, or was everyone kind of congregating inside in public areas?
Oh, we had sunny days and stuff, but everybody was out and about on the pools and the hot tubs and, having a fun time. At night, they shut down the Serenity deck because it just got too windy. And we tried to go to the hot tubs and the Serenity deck to get away from the kids. And this was a spring break sailing. I probably won't do it again.
On this ship, you have the Havana on the back of deck 5. Are you allowed to use that at any time during the evening, or is that specifically locked away just for the Havana guests?
I don't know on that one. I never really got down there to really look at it.
Yeah.
I looked at from deck 10. Mm-hmm. So I think next time I'm going to Havana pool. I'm a Havana room, so I can actually use that Havana pool. And there's one thing that I noticed. So I've been on Carnival Magic 2 years ago, basically on the same sailing, but it's the same 8 day, but without Curaçao's Grand Turk the first time. But this time it's Curaçao. But anyways, Magic has the 2 hot tubs on each side, on the starboard side and the port side on the Lanai, deck 5, where Carnival Horizon doesn't. And I didn't know that until I think it was the second sea day or the third sea day. I can't remember. Because I was like, wait, hold a minute. If this is like Magic, because I was telling the couple I was hanging out with, and I was like, well, if this is like Magic, they should have the hot tubs on Lanai on deck 5. I looked over the edge of the ship, and I was like, darn it, it doesn't have the hot tubs. Which meant it only had the 2 hot tubs in the Serenity, the 2 hot tubs on deck 10 behind the pizza place, and then 2 more hot tubs down on the Havana pool deck.
But I feel like on deck 5 there, where those hot tubs are on the other ships, I feel like it's still kind of curved out, right? Like almost like they decided last minute not to put hot tubs there, because it kind of bumps out on both sides of the ship, I think, on deck 5, doesn't it? Or am I incorrect?
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. It does cut out like they were going to put hot tubs, but then like you were saying. Yeah. At the last second, it's like, no, we're not going to put hot tubs.
So you leave Miami. Give us your first port of call and the highlight.
So our first one was Aruba. We arrived there around 8 o'clock in the morning. We had a full day, 8 to 10. So we had a full day there. We did a snorkeling catamaran excursion in Aruba, and that was fun. Matter of fact, I did that one about 2 years ago. Like the exact same excursion. And so I get on the excursion, and I'm looking at the captain of the boat, and I'm like, this guy looks familiar. So I'm like, well, I know I have pictures from last time. So I was going through my pictures, ended up finding out it was the exact same captain in the exact same catamaran boat.
Oh, wow.
From 2 years ago. So
Dang.
I showed him the picture, and he's like, "Yeah, that's me." So I was like, "Yeah, that's me from 2 years ago." But that was really fun. We snorkeled in one spot about 20 feet deep. We got to see a lot of fish. We got to see an eel, a sea snake. I was hoping to see at least a couple, nurse sharks or like a stingray or a turtle, but never really got to see any of those. And then we moved to another spot. We snorkeled over the old German ship. So we got to snorkel over that, and that was pretty cool. He was telling us the story of it. And the captain of the German ship had sunken on purpose before they got captured. And then went back to the ship, and on the way back, they handed out rum, and everyone had fun. So that was a fun excursion. I mean, we had 3 ships in port that day. It was Norwegian Viva and Celebrity Reflection, and then our ship. Middle of the day, it got really busy in the port.
Was that Scientology ship dock there? The old white one. I think it's called the Free Wind.
Yep.
Yeah.
That one was still there.
You were there till 10 p.m. So once you wrapped your excursion up, did you go back on the ship, then go back on shore again, or did you say just hang out on the ship until you left?
My plan was to get back to the ship, have lunch, get changed, take a shower, get all the salt off of me, and then go back and then hang out, look around the port a little bit. I ended up falling asleep in the room. By the time I knew it was 5:30 and it was dinner time, and I was like, there's no point in me getting off the ship now. We're about to leave in the next 5 hours.
Yeah, that sun will get you every time. So after Aruba, what was your next port of call, and what was the highlight?
So we went to Bonaire, trying to decide if I wanted to do an excursion or just walk around again like I did last time. Because at the time when we got to Bonaire, I didn't have any excursions planned. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go back and look around, buy a T-shirt, and I like to buy stickers, put on my car to show places I've been to. Mm-hmm. So bought a sticker and a T-shirt in Bonaire and walked around and had a coffee. And I ended up buying some the salt from Bonaire for cooking. I think I walked around for 2 to 3 hours and then got back on the ship. Since I didn't have an excursion planned, I wasn't in too much of a hurry to get off the ship. I enjoyed that day for just a slow, relaxing day, especially from the day before, from a long day of snorkeling and stuff.
With it being Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, was it boom, 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 3 ports in a row, or did you have a sea day between those? Because this was you had 3 ports to call on an 8-night cruise.
Boom, boom, boom. It was Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. We had no sea days between.
So then you went to Curacao. How was your day there?
We got there around 8 and we left at 5. Curacao I've never been to before, so I was kind of excited to look around. As you get off the ship, you take a right and you walk all the way down. It's like Fort something. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I looked in that fort and it was pretty cool. Riff Fort.
Okay.
RIF and Fort. That was established in 1828. I walked that and looked around, took a couple pictures of the cannons and stuff, and that was pretty cool. And we actually got to watch a big old container ship come out of the port.
Nice. To
the left of it. It was huge. As I was watching the ship coming out, there was this guy hanging on a ladder, waiting for the pilot to come off. And I was like, man, I do not want to be that person. One wrong step, you're going back in the water.
It could be a scary profession at times. My dad was one, and so was my grandpa. One wrong step, and you're in the water for sure. Did you get to see the swinging bridge open at all?
No, but I've been told that if you go on the other side, that you have to make sure you make it back, or you won't make it and then won't make it back to the ship. I didn't want to take that chance.
No, I hear you. So you went to the fort, you hung out around the city, and then you just went back to the ship?
Yeah, we left around 4:30.
All right, now you're heading back to Miami. I'm curious what you said earlier about kids running around and kind of interrupting your sleep or what have you. Was that after midnight or all hours of the day?
Late evening, after 10 or 11. We really didn't hear them very much. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it was fine. There was a couple of nights where we tried to get into the hot tubs, but the teens were hogging the hot tubs on deck 10 on the back.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of hard to get into the hot tubs, but we waited for 10, 15 minutes and finally one cleared up and ended up turning into adult only hot tub basically, right. Which was nice.
Yeah. So you make your way back to Port Miami. How was your debark process?
Very smooth actually. Since it was just me, I just feel I'll just carry my own stuff. I'm only carrying a backpack, main luggage, and my CPAP with me. So I just did self-assist and got off the ship around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then got to the airport around 9:30. The nice thing was, once I got out of the terminal, when I requested for an Uber, the Uber was literally at the terminal F where Carnival Celebration was at. So I only had to wait for like 5 minutes to get an Uber, which was very nice. Other than that, it was pretty smooth. I mean, no problems at all. Now, I forgot to mention this. I don't know if you know this or not, but at the beginning of the cruise, once you're going through security and stuff, they lined you up against the wall, and they had sniff dogs coming along and sniffing your luggage. Because you put your luggage in front of you, and the dog would come up and sniff your luggage to see if you're carrying, drugs.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So that was new for me. I was like, what the heck's going on here?
Do you remember the dates you were sailing?
It was March 29th to April 6th.
Oh, wow. So we were in Miami at the same time, because I was boarding Carnival Celebration on April 6th. And it's funny because we had to get sniffed as well. We had to put our backpacks down, the dog go against the wall. The dog did his little round, then all right, you're clear. And then the next group of people came in. It was a process, but I guess that's what cruising in 2025 is.
Yep. And they're cracking down on things, I guess. Apparently they've had people try to sneak on drugs, and they're like, nope, guess what? We're going to start bringing in dogs in, and they're going to start sniffing you, and they're going to find you drugs.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You ain't going on board.
Right. Yeah, they're not playing. So do you have any tips to offer anyone who might be sailing either an 8-night cruise to the ABC Islands or sailing solo on Carnival Cruise Line? Don't
sail during spring break. You might regret it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was fine. I mean, it didn't really bother me too much, but, it was hard to get in the hot tubs most of the night, so I didn't really get to enjoy the hot tubs or the pools very much. So for people that have to use CPAP machines like I do, definitely bring an extension cord with you. Because I ended up requesting an extension cord through my travel agent through Carnival, and he requested it, but it never showed in the room. So I'm actually glad I ended up buying one before the cruise. Yeah, I would definitely recommend somebody packing a extension cord and tons of sunscreen.
Yeah, and it's a lot cheaper to buy it at Walmart than it is on the cruise ship.
Yeah, tell me about it. There was a Walmart about, 2 or 3 miles from my hotel in Miami, so I ended up having to walk to the Walmart and buy sunscreen and the extension cord because I forgot to buy both.
Well, in closing here, you already gave the ship some pretty high scores here, but I'm going to ask this anyways. Your final thoughts on Carnival Horizon?
It was a perfect size ship for me. I really enjoy the size. I would sail on her again.
All right. I've been talking with William about his 8-night ABC Islands cruise on Carnival Horizon. William, great talking to you again, my friend, and thank you so much for sharing your vacation with us.
All right. Thank you, Doug.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,